The next thing that I'm going to do right now is show you how some other functions in GRASS GIS works while we obviously continue to uh, wait for this data to be able to download. So we'll be processing this data obviously next week. Another thing that I said that we would be working with is the r.mask function. The r.mask function is one of the very interesting functions that GRASS GIS has. So when I open my map here, it is obviously set to this region, but I was not able to clip it last time. What I could do is I could actually send the g.list raster files here and change to g.region raster as to one of the files that we have. Now, once we have set a GRASS GIS region, uh, we would definitely have this red box disappear. But if you remember uh, from our last time, we were actually creating the RGB with the region preset. So when we created the RGB with the region preset, it actually created an RGB for a smaller area. And I'm sorry I couldn't figure this out because there were other images underneath it, and I don't know, I was lost, so I couldn't really tell you. But yes, rest assured the g.region function really works. What I could do is I could want to create smaller maps for a given area, like here for that matter. I have this particular region that I want to export a small region of outside, or I want to like this particular region. So if I would like to work on this smaller region only and create a mask, what I could do is I could use just like the g.region function that we did in our last session. I could use the r.mask function as well. What I would need to do is I would first like to see what are the attributes that I need to specify. So I need to specify the name of the file and it should work for me. So I will go for r.mask vector, and the file that I wanted to create a mask with the help of is the study area file. So I'm going to go with the study area and I'm going to create a mask based on that vector file. Now, if I go here and refresh this, it's going to tell me that there's a mask present. Now, this mask is actually going to cover data. So if it's going to cover data for us, now the one like that I've cleared, it means that any file that I'm going to now work with is going to be sort of covered by this mask altogether. The mask will be making the rest of the area disappear. So if I would like to do so, so this is the mask that I have. So what I would like to do now is I would like to go into the user the CD data folder. I'm going to go into the raster data and not the raster, this one maybe. I'll probably go into the Lancet data. I'm going to create r.in.jadal input is equal to clip 20. So I'm going to import this particular file, output. I'm going to call this mask test and I'm going to see what it does. Now it has imported the mask test file for me. The file must be visible in my data folder now. This is the one. And if you see, the file is not covering the whole area. This was exactly the same file as this one. But when I look at it, it would only show me the masked area. The original file that I had imported was this one, but every file that I'm opening is appearing to be clipped. So which means that the mask is actually doing its job. It's clipping every single file to the area that I was working with. I'm going to remove this mask now. And as soon as I remove the mask, I would like to see what happens now. It's showing me the full image, and the mask test image is again full as well. So what actually the mask does is the mask actually covers uh, the mask is removed. It's no more in here. It shows it here, but if I refreshes it, it would not be present. So that's one obviously very interesting aspect of the mask function altogether. And as a matter of fact, if I would like to create an inverse mask, that again is possible. Now this is going to be interesting. So when I'm creating an inverse mask, I'm going to type the r.mask command again here. I'm going to type help, and it's going to tell me that I have this possibility of creating an inverse mask. So I'll go to the command that I typed previously. I press the up key and I go to that command. So I don't have to type too much, and I'll just add the -i flag from here to it. The moment I do so and I press enter, it created an inverse mask for me. Now this inverse mask, I need to refresh to be able to show. And it is now the outside covered and the inside exposed. Now this is interesting because this is actually a donut feature that it will create, which means that if I would open a certain file, like the mask test file, the central part of this file would be missing. And this is good because if at any point I feel like I need to have a central part or a part in the middle of a raster omitted from my uh, processing, I could create an inverse mask. Now, these kind of masks usually are difficult to create in other software. And for the fact that GRASS GIS can actually help you do so is extremely convenient and useful. So this is the GRASS GIS mask function. The more you work with it, the better you're going to find it in the longer run. One additional capability that GRASS GIS has is its extensions capability. But we're going to talk about that later. What I'm going to show you right now is the GRASS GIS image processing commands. Now, this is something which usually a satellite data processing software does, but GRASS is a very interesting, and I would rather say complete GIS software. So what it can do is it can actually process satellite data for you as well. The image processing options are usually starting with I. So if you remember when I was working with rasters, it was R dot. When you're working with vectors, it's V dot. And when you're working with images, satellite images, the commands usually start with I dot. So if you go here, you will find most of these commands starting with I. And this is something that is a very useful function of GRASS GIS. You can use several kind of image classification algorithms if you would like to. You could create uh, pan sharpened fused images as well. You can perform radiometric correction, and obviously you can do the time series processing. So once we are going to get our data, we could obviously talk about that later. You could obviously run models and other things as well. Uh, these are not actually all the commands. So if you like click on one of the commands and you go in the imagery part here, you're going to find all the commands listed here uh, for image processing. So for that matter, I have a RGB image with me right now, and I could, for that matter, enhance its colors. So what I would do is would go I dot colors dot enhance, and I could type the help on the screen so I know what I need to do. I would go to the full range of color enhancement, and I would then, for that matter, name of the red channel, green and blue channel. Now the RGB that I have, I do not remember the name of the channels. So I think I'm going to have a bit of an issue probably, but let's see. Okay. 20. I think I can look for these names here. Okay, 30. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to first have to remove my mask actually, because if I continue with the mask, it would not be for all of them. Now, if I go to these images now and click on one of them, there is a certain amount of color enhancement based on the full range of colors that it has applied on these images. Uh, this is something that one will have to obviously check in detail. My computer screen definitely shows different colors. Your computer screen definitely is going to show you a different set of colors. So I can't really say with surety of how much of it happened. Of the other things that it can do, there's a very long list of functions. And unfortunately, I do not have that kind of time to actually perform one uh, extensive uh, use of these image processing functions on the screen right now. But definitely once we have our modest data set available or download it, we could at the same time do it with that or some other data sets. For now, it would be uh, interesting to see. Sorry, I don't have that kind of data here. For now, it would be interesting to just go through these functions and see if there is a certain function that you could use for your benefit. Now you know how the functions work on the screen, so that should not be an issue. One thing that GRASS has is the g.extension command. Now this again is interesting because when you're working with GRASS, you would obviously want to have an extension of the software. So when you would like to want to have an extension of the software, you could use the g.extension command. The g.extension command actually will, by default, uh, I will have to install the support vector SVN. Now, this is going to be a bit tough for me to do so at this stage, but No, I won't be installing SVN on my computer for this stage, and I will not be asking you to do that as well, because that's going to be not very wise at this stage. But I could show you. So these are the extensions. So if at any point you would like to work with any of the extensions, you could probably install them. I would definitely wanted to show you how to install them, but there's a reason that I'm not doing it at this stage. Maybe in the following classes we will maybe do that. These are some of the extensions and their uses. You can actually list the number of extensions that you have, and it will actually show you the list of add-ons. And at point where you want to uh, look at them online, you could actually go for the vector add-ons here, and the raster and the imagery and the general and the GUI and the miscellaneous add-ons. So you've got like quite a list of add-ons here that you can definitely look into. So this is the vector add-ons. They are very, in my opinion, very useful. These are the raster add-ons. There are far many. Then there are the imagery add-ons, 6 sufficient number. Then there are the journal add-ons, small number, but doesn't really uh, uh, mean that they are very less useful. They're very useful actually, and these are actually uh, the user interface add-ons. So I think that this is it for now. I would not want to extend it further because of the fact that for now this is going to be quite a thing to do, to add on to download your data and to have it available with you so that we can do the time series processing exercises in the future. So these are some of the functions of GRASS GIS for now that I wanted to talk about. And since we have another 3 sessions or 2 sessions in the week still remaining, so we can do the MODIS and Landsat data processing. Subsequently, in one of the sessions, we process the MODIS data that we have downloaded, and one of the sessions, we process the Landsat data that we have downloaded. For now, I'll stop here. We're already around the 50 minutes mark as well, and I'll take any question from you or any concern if you have from you for now.